So folks, this is the vestibule. As you can see, we're ripping off all the plasterboard. The reason is there was a horrendous smell in here, and it's because the plasterboard was damp and the water was coming through the brick. So we're going to have to rip off all the plasterboard and repaint the brick with waterproof seal and then replasterboard it. It's a hell of a mess. As you can see, that's where the water's been coming in. In fact, it's been coming up right through the wall. And that's because the wood is rotten outside. Let's have a look. That's where the water's getting through, on the outside of this vestibule. The wood is rotten.
And you see where the mortar, what they've done with the mortar. It's clearing up there anyway.
So unfortunately we're having to do this in the rain because in winter you don't get any other opportunity to do this. So yeah, the water's been getting in through there and then going through the inside of the building.
And also going through here.
Where? Oh yeah, underneath the windowsill. Eventually we'll get a new window in there. Unfortunately the weather's against us today, but we just have to crack on. Yeah, so eventually we're going to have to replace that door as well. Well folks, the roof was a bit damp, so we pulled off the roof boards, and lo and behold, it's infested with wasps.
I'll be shocked if they know that by now.
Well folks, this started off as a simple job. We're gonna just replaster the walls, and then we discovered water's running through the walls. So now we're gonna have to completely fix the roof. And while we've been pulling off the plasterboard, there's loads of wasp nests. So we're gonna have to deal with this now first.
So that side there, look. Completely everywhere in this roof.
And there lays our main problem for damp. Water's been coming in through the roof. Wow, a lot there. So this is all going to have to be replaced. So folks, we've come to a full stop. We've discovered there's so much water coming in that we need a new roof in this little vestibule. And we've stripped everything back to the bare wall now. As you can see, the water's been coming through the roof for years now. And it's been quite literally been coming through the walls. It's seeping through, and every time the wind blows from a certain direction, the water's just been seeping through the brickwork. And whoever built this original window should be shot. Even I can do better than this. So at least we put in a new door. The last door that was in here was rotten. Now, to make things even worse, we decided to stop working here and move on to the kitchen because we're going to put a new kitchen in. We started taking off the wallpaper, and that was a major mistake. We should have just let it be. The plasterboard underneath is rotten. It's full of holes that just cannot be fixed. Whoever plasterboarded the kitchen, he needs to be shot as well. Because they used wood in some places, plasterboard in others, and it's just a mess. So it's maybe not too clear in this particular video clip, but the roof is in a shocking state. I'm not sure what they used on the roof, but it doesn't look like plasterboard to me, and if it is plasterboard, it's really ancient stuff. Someone's probably got a horsehair or something in there. And it's causing us big problems. The walls themselves are in pretty bad shape. They've butted wood onto ends of plasterboard and used wood above the windows, and it's a nightmare. So I think we're going to have to strip it all back again down to the bone and replasterboard everything. It's turned into a complete nightmare. I've been using the steamer to take off the wallpaper, but there are certain places that's not wallpaper, it's gloss paint, and that is a complete nightmare. Well, as you can see, I've got the bulk of the kitchen out now. I'm going to leave the rest till next weekend when I start building the kitchen, otherwise we're going to have nothing to live from. And this is where it's ended up. I mean, I knew when I took on this project there were going to be delays, but some of these delays are unexpected and unnecessary, but there's not a lot I can do about this. I just have to carry on.
What is it? Did you catch a fish, Gus? Is that a fish?
Well folks, we're up for another weekend. Last weekend was a bit of a disaster and I was really annoyed. You've got no idea. We drove up, took us something like 4 hours to get up here, and IKEA was supposed to deliver our kitchen for us and they didn't turn up. They didn't even phone us to tell us that they weren't coming. It wasn't until about 5 o'clock that evening that I had to phone them and say, where the hell is my kitchen? I've been waiting all day. And they didn't even have an excuse. All they said is that the staff was incompetent. So you can imagine, I mean, I was furious, but they promised they would deliver it this week. So we've come up and the kitchen has been delivered. The only unfortunate thing was when the van arrived, everything was thrown all about the van. Whoever packed it didn't even care how they packed the van. So we had our oven upside down, we had units upside down. So I'm expecting a lot of damages. I can tell you I am really disappointed in IKEA. Not only did they botch up our delivery, and they knew full well that we were staying in a very remote part of the Highlands. Ordering the kitchen was a bit of a nightmare because the person ordering it decided to switch worktops on us and he went for a thinner worktop. Now I designed this kitchen so that the hob sinks into the worktop, and because he went for a thinner worktop, the hob doesn't sit on top of the oven now. Now you would think that trained IKEA staff would know this. How is it that I know this and they don't? So anyway, I'm having to change the whole oven housing now, and that's going to be a bit of a nightmare. But anyway, it just shows you even companies like IKEA can completely botch things up. But I tell you what, the customer service, now I know they've got a money back guarantee and all this kind of nonsense, but sometimes their customer service is a bit to be desired. Just to turn around and tell us, oh, our staff are incompetent, that's why you didn't get your kitchen. Well, I suppose it's honest. But yeah, it's going to be interesting when we build this kitchen this weekend. I've got 2 days to make this kitchen. So we'll see what's broken and what's missing. So as you can see, we've had the inside renewed. All the old rotten wood was taken out. And we're busy building the internal frame. So we've had to put a double wall inside because this was a single brick wall. We're going to insulate that. As you can see, we've now replaced the outside of the vestibule roof. The last one was leaking so badly. We've still to put on some front fascias there. And we've got to pull the old window out, put a new window in, because that's just a double glazed panel. The water's seeping in. The water's seeping in through these gaps here. We've got a jet ski there busy going down the loch. I think that's going to be my next purchase. Alright folks, it's now 5 o'clock in the evening and we are only just starting the kitchen. As George making a hashy bashy job of it already. Hasn't got a clue what he's doing.
Very funny.
He's the demolisher, he knows how to demolish things.
I know exactly what I'm doing. It takes me a while to get my head around it.
So we have to put new plumbing pipes in, new electrical sockets. But we're going to put some of the base units in first so that we can guess where everything is going. So we're not removing the sink unit until we're closer to the point. Well folks, we finished up at 11:30 last night. We would have carried on, but unfortunately George didn't check the plumbing supplies when he was collecting them from Screwfix, and Screwfix completely screwed up the order. So now instead of having plumbing fittings for 2 different pipes, we were given all the same fittings for only 1 thickness of pipe. So everything is on hold now for at least 3.5 hours because George has to make a round trip to Fort William. It is very, very frustrating. We are so far from any shops here that any mistakes like this is costing us dearly. We've had to replace all the piping because the piping was just old and bad. So as you can see, we're in a bit of a mess here. Now folks, we're just taking a 5-minute break from making this kitchen and have come down to the beach. And all I can say is it's bloody hot. This is now almost the end of November. And we should be having ice and snow on the ground. And all I can say, it is very, very warm. This is not normal weather for Scotland. Just going to pan around here. Catch a fish. So that's us for another weekend, folks. I'm going to head back down to Edinburgh. There's some things we're missing for the kitchen. We can't really proceed now until we get all these little bits and pieces. Now, a curious note, when we went down to the beach yesterday, I told you about how warm it was. I know I keep banging on about global warming. Now, I'm not saying that we caused it or could be a natural phenomenon, I don't know. But something's definitely wrong with the weather. I mean, we're in midwinter now and flowers are starting to bloom. It's very mild outside, so you can definitely see that the weather is on the change.